And welcome back to this next demonstration video where we'll be learning about password policies as well as account local security and policy. Here I'm just working off of a single client computer. So to start off here, we're going to go with our user administration and just the basic settings to check and see what we have available on this user's creation side. So to start off here, I'm just going to go to my run and we will go to our computer management. Maximize my console here. So we're going to go to our local users and groups, and we will come into users here. So when we right click to go and add a new user, you'll see that we have these four options here. Now, the first option is user must change password at next logon. This is something that you'll find is pretty standard for new user accounts, or say when you go to like an IT help desk and we find that we have to create a new user account, or we reset the password for someone in the network, we give a default temporary password that the user can use for the time being until they can get logged into their account. And then after that, they'll need to change their password. So we are going to go ahead and create a new user here by the name of Tom. I'll just enter his password real quick here. We'll go with simple password. But before I go ahead and create Tom, we're going to go over these next options here. So say we want to check the next option here. Let me uncheck this one and we go to user cannot change password. I'll select that one there. Now, when we select the user cannot change password, you'll notice that it grays out this first option where they must change the password at next logon. So when it comes time for his password to expire, Tom will not be able to change his password. He can simply connect for the limited time that his password is allowed to be active, and then only the authorized person or account with the account rights has the ability to change the password for him. Moving on to the third option here, password never expires. When we say password never expires, it's essentially what it means. It's never going to expire and remains available as long as the account is active. So this user's password doesn't fall under the umbrella of like the password security policy because it's with this option, it essentially bypasses everything. So if you say the default password age is 42 days, then everyone must change their password every 42 days. But if we select this option for this user, they're essentially exempt from that policy because their password is never going to expire. The last option we see here is account is disabled, which basically means that the user cannot sign in on our network. When do we use this? This can be used for a variety of reasons, such as like an employee leaving a company, either they quit or they get fired, and we need to disable their account so they no longer have access to company resources. Or say if we're like temporarily disabling access for an employee who say they may be going on vacation and we just want to secure their account in their absence. So we're going to go ahead and just select the first option here. User must change password at next login. And this is something we can go ahead and verify and validate immediately. Same as the last option with account is disabled. So we'll look at both of those things here. So let me just create this. I'm going to close. And we can see our user Tom has been created. Now let's go ahead and log off and log in with Tom, and we'll just verify the password change and log on. Sign out here. And now we can see our new user Tom here coming up. And enter his password. And now we can see we have our message here. User's password must be changed before signing in. So I'll hit OK. We're going to enter our new password. Same thing, we'll just go with the simple password. Enter. And now it's going to change the password. Password has been changed. Okay. And now it's going to go ahead and do the welcome and log us on now. I will pause this here just because it does take a little bit of time for the system here to initialize this new user profile. Okay, so we are logged in with our Tom account here. So this just demonstrates the login credential change at our account login. So now I'm going to go ahead and log out right away and I'm logged back into my client 10A account. Okay, so now I'm logged back in with my client 10A. We'll move on to the next part here. Let me just quickly bring up my computer management again, go back to our users. So the second thing we can immediately validate is disabling a user account. Let me just maximize this here. So let's say Tom has decided to go on vacation, and we've decided that we're going to disable his account while he's out. So for this, we're going to right click on Tom's account and we're going to scroll down to properties to bring up this here, and we will select account is disabled. Now, when we select this and apply an OK, now we see a little drop-down arrow that appears right around Tom's user little visual here. Just a little visual to indicate to us that his account is now disabled. So we're going to close this and now let's attempt to sign in with his account. So let me close down this console. I'm going to log off. So now when we get back to our login screen, you can see that I no longer have Tom as an acceptable user that I can log in with. Or his account is no longer available as a login option, which lets us know that we've successfully disabled his account. So I'm going to log back into my 10A again. So when we disable account, it does not delete the account. So anything stored in Tom's account is still available in his profile, but only the authorized personnel has the rights to enable it. This is something you'll see in an enterprise organization pretty frequently. So let's say you have like an employee that's been fired from or let go from a company or quit. You have several choices for that user's profile, which include disabling the account, deleting the account, or you can also reset credentials. But one thing to know with resetting credentials is that that method will utilize multi-factor authentication for resetting, which is set to Tom's actual personal devices, which will in turn grant him access back into his profile. So for that reason, you'll disregard, resetting credentials when someone is let go. You want to go either with disabling or deleting the account. Let's say if we decided to delete the account, if we go with that option, then we're unable to get any data that is associated with Tom's account. Perhaps he has like important data stored on his desktop or in a document somewhere on his profile. So for this, best practice in an organization is to simply disable the user account. Disabling the account secures our environment from unwanted access and it saves the data in the account in the event that it needs to be accessed. So next here, we're going to go ahead and set up our password policies in our group environment. So I'm going to go back to run here and we will enter secpol.msc. And this is going to open our local security and policy. Let me just expand this again. So in local security and policy, we have different types of policies that we can use depending on whether you're in a work group or domain environment. Currently we're in a work group environment. So on the left-hand side here, we can see two policies, account policies and local policies. Let me just expand both of those there. For this demo, we'll be focused more on the account policies here with password policy and account lockout policy. or for our local policy. So we'll start with setting up the password policies. So we are going to go ahead and select that. And you can see all of the security and settings and policies that come up for our password specifically. So first option being here, enforcing password history, which is essentially how many numbers of expired passwords will our system remember. We have our maximum and minimum password age, maximum default setting here to 42 days, where the minimum is 0 days. We have our minimum password length, which currently is set to 0 characters. The complexity requirements currently disabled. You have our relaxed minimum password length limits, which are undefined, and then store passwords using reversible encryption. So we're going to go ahead and just look at the first option here, double clicking on enforce password history. This brings up this little window here. Currently, we have 0 passwords remembered in our local security settings. If we go to explain, security settings determines the number of unique new passwords that have to be associated with the user account before an old password can be reused. Value can be anywhere from 0 to 24. Default shows 0s on standalone servers, 24 on domain controllers. Back to this here, and we'll go ahead and just change this. Let's say we want to remember 3 passwords. Just going to hit apply and OK. You can see that that now has been updated. Now setting the minimum password age, or how long until the password expires. Go into this here. We have this set to 42 days. If I go to explain, it does show here that you can set passwords to expire after a number of days, anywhere between 1 and 999 days. For this one, I'm just going to leave it at the default for 42 days. That's fine. And looking at minimum password age for the minimum, again, that's set to 0. Go to explain. And this one says it can be set to anywhere between 1 to 998 days. Same thing here. I'm just going to leave that as the default. Now looking at minimum password length. So in our workgroup environment for our Windows clients, this is currently set at 0 characters or open. So let me go up to there. The security setting determines the least number of characters that a password for a user account may contain. And this says you can be anywhere from 0 to 14 here. Let's go ahead and set our character minimum to say 3 characters and apply. Okay. And the maximum here we can add, I believe it's at 14 for our Windows client machine. Say if we wanted to add more than the minimum here, so 14. Say if I wanted to go to 20, it won't let me because of the minimum preset here default. So we're just gonna, like I mentioned, leave that at 3. So now let's just verify the 3 character setting and then move on here. So I'm gonna go to my run again and we'll bring up our computer management console. Let's say we want to create a new user here. We'll go by the name of Jerry. And let's say we want to try to do just a 2-digit password for Jerry. Let's go ahead and create. And then we get this user error. Following error occurred while attempting to create user Jerry. Password does not meet the password policy requirements. Check minimum password length, password complexity, and history requirements. So we get this error here, and that's because our password does not meet the requirements we set with our password policy. Say you want to try a more complex combination. We'll go with A1, still a 2-digit password. Okay. we get the same error message here. So A1 is a more complex combination, but we get the error because same thing, the length, we're not meeting those requirements. I'm gonna go ahead and close this here. And let's go to our local security policy and let's just change the password length from 3 to 4. Get a little bit longer. Apply, okay. That's set there. Let's go back and try to create a new user in our computer management. Same thing here, right click new user. We're gonna try Jerry again. Now here we'll try a more complex password. Let's say we want to do A1 plus. Try creating. We get that user error because of our new length requirement for the 4 characters. So it doesn't matter that we're trying the more complex passwords here. The complexity is not our prerequisite, the length is. So if I go to, let's try just a simple password of 1, 2, 3, 4. And create. Now we're able to create our user account Jerry because we are meeting the length requirements. Now we're going to go back to our local security and policy, and we're going to enable our complexity requirements. So password complexity requirements, we'll double click and we're going to enable this, apply, and OK. And so when I go to explain here, complexity requirements must meet the following. Typically uppercase, lowercase letter. We have our length set already, special characters, letters, and numbers. Let me come back to my computer management here. And so now we have our complexity requirements enabled. So now we're going to go back to our user console. Let's say that Tom is now back from vacation. He's contacted us to let us know he's returned and he needs access to log back into his account. So we're going to right click on Tom, go to properties. We'll uncheck account is disabled. And we're going to select user must change password at next logon here. So by doing this, we enable Tom's account, but we forcefully set the policy for Tom to have to update his password when he logs back in. So I'm going to apply and OK. Now we see that his account is now active again. And then we're going to close all these here and log off, and we're going to log back in with Tom. We have our account option here for Tom. He's going to log in with his account. We get the message, user must change before signing in. Okay. Well, for Tom, he's going to try changing his password, but he's going to go and try the simple password because that's what he's used to using here, right? And it says unable to update the password. A value provided for the new password does not meet the length, complexity, or history requirements of the domain. We're going to select OK. So before Tom tries again, let's say he discusses with a co-worker, says, hey, I'm having this problem signing in, and they let him know, yeah, they changed the password requirements. So he's going to try complying with the length requirement this time. So he's going to enter his old password. And let's say he's going to just try for the length. Same thing here, we get the error message. Does not meet length, complexity, or history requirements of the domain. For further discussion here, he's going to try for the complexity. So let's say he wants to just try an A123 type of password. It's not accepted, not complex enough. We have the 4 characters and the 2 combinations, but he still doesn't meet the complexity requirements. So now this time he's going to go ahead and just try A12 plus. And now it accepts it and it's changing its password. Your password has been changed. Press OK, and this is going to log him in. So now we're able to get access because we meet all of the requirements set forth in our new password policy. So one thing to note for any other profiles that we have with the more simple passwords in our network here, they'll still work fine until it is time to update their passwords after they expire, and then they will be able to abide by the new complexity guidelines that we set. So after Tom gets all logged in here, we're going to sign him out again and log back into our client 10A computer. Okay, so I'm logged back in with my client 10A here. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part where we'll demonstrate account disabling or account lockout. This pertains to what happens when a user enters the wrong password. So let's set up our policies for that. This kind of policy that we set is a kind of a direct prevention technique for, say, like a cyber criminal who's attempting a brute force attack, which is where they will attempt to flood an account credentials with many different password combinations in an attempt to gain access to that account. Essentially, the less attempts your system will allow, the less likely it is that they will be successful in this. Typically, the default for the lockout policy window is about 30 minutes before allowing another sign-on attempt, with the attempts typically set to 0 in a workgroup environment, meaning they get unlimited attempts, or say like 3 attempts in an enterprise type of environment. So let's go ahead and check this out. We're going to go to our run here and we'll go back to our security policy. Just open this up here, check our account policies, and we're going to go into account lockout policy. And so here you can see my specific security settings for this system here. We have our account lockout durations actually set to 10 minutes, account lockout threshold being 10 invalid login attempts. We have our administrator account lockout enabled, and then the reset account lockout after 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and go into account lockout threshold, and I'm going to change this from 10 to just 3 attempts here. Go ahead and apply and select OK. And so if our user enters their password incorrectly 3 times, their account will lock out for what my system right now is preset to is the 10 minutes. And after that time, they can go ahead and try again. So let's say we want to change the lockout duration to 30 minutes. Go ahead and apply. Okay. And that is now changed. And reset account lockout. Same thing, we'll change that to 30 minutes. Apply and okay. So now at this point, now that we've got that change, we're going to go ahead and log off and let's try signing in with our Tom account. And we're going to do a bunch of invalid attempts here on his account to see how we get the lockout. Oh, try some wrong passwords here. Incorrect. Try again. Try again. Try again. So this is our 4th attempt now. And now we get the references account is currently locked out and may not be logged onto. Hit OK. So at this at this point, we'll say Tom calls the help desk and says he's locked out. They'll verify that he does indeed know his password. Tom states that yes, so they'll let him know that he needs to wait for the set time now of 30 minutes before he can attempt to log in again, even though they have the power to technically go in and reset it sooner if need be. So let's go ahead and check to see the logged out account. So I'm going to go back to my admin profile here. As soon as we're logged back in here, we're going to go ahead and run, and we're going to go back to our computer management consoles where we go to our local users and computers to see Tom's user account. Just give this a little bit moment to catch up and refresh here. Okay, so now we're back to our users here. And we can see our user Tom. Now, first glance, we can see the account is not disabled, but when you double click on our user Tom, you can see that now we have this account is locked out checked because he entered his password wrong too many times. So say if Tom needed the immediate assistance here, we simply remove this check, reset his password, and then Tom can log back in with the temporary password and renew his login credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and select uncheck or uncheck the account is logged out. We're going to make him change his password at the next login and reset his password. And just set apply. Okay. I'm going to right click. I'm going to set his password for him. Hit OK. Password has been set. Okay. And at this point, as us being like part of the help desk IT team, we would essentially let Tom know what his temporary password is. And when he goes to enter that, he's going to essentially have to enter a new password, and then he'll have access to his account. So this is how we essentially use account policies and set local security and policies in our workgroup environment. Next, I'm going to demonstrate these same types of tasks in a domain type of environment where we'll be working off of a server that we install in Active Directory domain services and a client computer. But for that, I'm going to demonstrate those concepts in a separate set of videos just for the sake of time here. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again.